It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
With Ease US, make studio quality voiceovers for your videos online in over 149 languages and dialects. Never been easier to create professional grade videos and voiceovers. Try it today at easeus.com. That's EASEUS.com. Ease US.
Hi, I'm Mitch, the co-founder of Cake, a sexual health and wellness company designed for today and designed for you. Yes, you. The entire product line can be found at hellocake.com, and it's also available in every Walmart near you.
Send money abroad in just a few steps with Remitly. Sign up with your email, enter an amount, choose how your loved ones receive the money, enter your recipient's information, select a payment method, hit send, and relax. Download the Remitly app today.
Tervis is all about staying hydrated. Each product is built to last and comes in endless designs to match your personality. Stay refreshed and express yourself with Tervis. Visit tervis.com today and find your perfect tumbler.
Looking for tickets to the hottest shows, games, and events? Ticket Liquidator is your one-stop shop for great prices, no hassles, and guaranteed tickets. Whether it's sports, theater, or concert, for the best seats at the biggest events, start with Ticket Liquidator today at ticketliquidator.com. Ticket Liquidator. The You Like Air 3, launched in 2023, ushers in a new era of sapphire ice cooling technology, offering nearly painless hair reduction in just 3 weeks. That's ULIKE.com. You Like.
Okay, it's the Pete Sousa Show. We are back in the Alico building, back at home. I got my main man, Scotty Swingler, riding shotgun. We got Liz in here. I mean, Liz just, because of office space, Liz comes in here, and this is the place where she has a desk and a place to work, and I feel like I'm in like a zoo animal because she just kind of watches, but that's fine. Silverback gorilla is what I would like to be, by the way. We are presented by Slovacics. Ray was so pumped when I sent him the Friday clip where I told Babe Laufenberg he's got to go to Slovacics. And Babe will go to Slovacics, and you should too, especially this weekend. My buddy Bart Smith, the guy from Avalanche, is going to be in town. I'm going to miss him because I'll be in Dallas, but he's going to Austin for Texas and Vanderbilt. Because he's a Vanderbilt grad. So that's a huge game. People are going to be up and down 35 for that one. They're going to be up and down 35 for Baylor and UCF. We'll stay away from handicapping or talking about that one right now, just for sake of trying to have fun and lead a positive existence. Because I even myself can get pretty dark now when I go there, at least just right now. We're going to be welcoming Steve Lyons. You know who he is, right? Major League Baseball, great. Obviously, television broadcaster in Major League Baseball for Fox for a very long time. Just a TV personality, and a friend of Chris Visser. So Visser makes this happen, and we are ready to execute a dynamite interview with one of the most colorful baseball guys of all time. Looking forward to that. That's in about 20 minutes. Wanted to start the show off with I'm coming back from the ESPN College Basketball Summit seminar, whatever you want to call it. Was a lot of fun. It was very informative. Like, just I learned a lot, and you can't shy away from like those events. And since COVID, I think like they've slipped away a little bit, but like to connect with people you're going to work with, or connect with people that are on your team, but you're not going to see all the time, is really cool. And you know, they do it big. Like we went to, there was an open bar on I guess Monday night, and it was cool to just look around the room and see who was there, from Jay Billis to Jim Boeheim to, you know, myself, right? And Steve Turnberger, one of the best producers of all time. So it was a lot of fun. The funniest part was I was not the funniest, but I was on my flight home, and Chris Budden was in first class, and I'm like in the bulkhead. And we got off the plane, and I'd said hi to her earlier, like just a hello at the summit, because you're around all these people. I took a picture with my favorite analyst, Andrea Carter, who I just think is the best. She's so good at her job. And we were talking for a little bit. I was like, yo, can I get a picture? And she was like, yeah. And she was like, if I need anything on the Big 12, I'm going to hit you up. I was like, please do. But like moments like that, like just a bunch of really, really cool people, a lot of good camaraderie, but you don't want to overdo it. So I got off the plane. Chris Budden is first because she's in first class. We're both walking to our cars. And I literally I didn't want to like pass her, you know, because I feel like I would then put her in a position where she has to talk to me again. So I just like walked slow and waited till she exited, and then I sped up and went past, because I just don't want to be that guy. A lot of times, you know, like it's imposter syndrome, or maybe it's just reality, but I feel like I shouldn't be in the same room with all these people. Like even all the way back last week to the NBC thing I did. You know, I walked in the room and I was like nervous because I hadn't ever done anything with NBC yet. And God bless him, dude. And we'll get him on this show. The first person I saw was John Fanta. And he was just like, Pete Sousa. Wow. And I'm sure he saw my name on the list and like looked me up. But he was very kind and took away a lot of the nerves. And it also reminded me of like, hey, when you're going into a situation like that, we always are thinking like, what can I take from the situation? Why is it going to be awkward for me? Why is it going to be hard? It's like, yo, what can you bring, right? John Fanta brought good vibes, and he helped out me, his new teammate. So that was very cool. And I'm sure I'll have some stuff that pops up from time to time talking about that event. But it was really, really cool. Very cool. Big 12 football, 5 teams in the top 25. Now, I just did the show Inside the 12, and when we say 5 teams inside the top 25, it's interesting because it's the first time since 2022 that the Big 12 has had 5 teams in the AP top 25, and you see them right there. BYU, I mean, as resilient as you could imagine, right? Like a comeback win on the road against Iowa State. I figured that would be a signature victory if they won it, right? The fact that they came back with a freshman quarterback really says a lot about them. Texas Tech, they have a big game on the road this weekend at Kansas State. More will be revealed there. And then, of course, Cincinnati and Utah. That game is ESPN College Game Day going there, and that's a late-night game on ESPN, and you can't overlook Houston. Houston's playing out of their mind. And one thing about Houston that I'm really happy about is that Connor Wegman, who is a guy who had so much hype around him, right? Like a 5-star recruit coming out of West Texas. They just make him different. And he was never able to experience success late into the season, whether it was because of injuries or poor play. But now here he is, man, thriving. And we're 2 days away from Halloween, and basically in November. Halloween, my man Myers here. I already told you guys, but when I was home in Philly with my mom to see her on Sunday, me, my mom, and my brother Mike, we all watched Halloween. It was amazing. I was so happy we did it. God, such a great goddamn movie. So that's cool. The one thing about the Big 12, when you say top 5 teams in the top 25, I don't like that. Like, that's part of the note because it's the first time since 2022. Like, the Big 12 is an outstanding conference. By the way, at that basketball summit, I talked to plenty of people, right? Like a Jim Boeheim or a Fran Fraschilla, or I'm trying to think of some other like big time basketball personalities that know a lot. Like, yo, this is possibly the best conference in college basketball. Like, the Big 12 is on fire. So I don't like adding anecdotes like for the first time since 2022. I feel like it should be like that all the time, and I think it will. With football, it's a little bit of a harder sell, but I think the Big 12 is capable of it. And this next couple weeks, man, is can the Big 12 have 2 teams in the 12-team playoff? We'll find out, man. We'll find out. I mean, of course, it's probably, if you look at the odds, it's a long shot, but we'll see. Another long shot, a story I wanted to share with you guys from when, I was gone. So I had the NBC Sports Big 12 Media Days, and then I had West Virginia and TCU, which turned out to be a really good game. And then I had the ESPN basketball thing. So all this stuff, like, I'm anxious. I'm like, over preparing for everything. But you do eventually end up having a lot of fun, and you have gratitude, and it's like fulfilling. But you also get funny stories. When we were on the road, something very funny happened. So we're meeting with Rich Rodriguez on Friday, and he is like the kind of guy, he walks into the room right away. I'm just like, oh, I could play for this guy. I think I mentioned that last week, or maybe I didn't, because we met Friday, and then we were it was after we did the show. But I was like, man, I could play for this guy. He's just like somebody you trust right away. He's not full of crap like Brian Kelly. Like, he's authentic. And we were talking for a while, and I can share this now because I'll tell you the story. But he says to us, this NIL thing is really tricky. And he goes, we had guys that, this is our first real long year to do recruiting, because Rich Rodriguez was hired kind of late in the cycle last year. They actually left like millions of dollars, like $4 million on the table, and did not give kids that money last year. They wanted to allocate it for this year's incoming class. But like, some stuff went sideways. A donor needed his money back. And so Rich Rod had allocated money to people, and then it had been taken off the table. So Rodriguez is telling us a story. He's like, so I had 24 hours to raise $2 million. And I was like, that sounds like an action movie. He was like, yeah, it felt like it, But he asked us, he said, hey, don't, mention this during the broadcast. And I didn't. And honestly, I wouldn't. It's not the forum for that, especially after he asked. But the next day, I'm sitting, getting ready, doing prep for the game, and I'm watching College Game Day. And wouldn't you know it, there's Pat McAfee. And they're talking about, and it is a real hot topic. It's like, yo, if I donate $10 million to the Baylor football program, do I get to say who the next coach is going to be? Like we're getting into those type of areas. So that was where the discussion had evolved from. Pat McAfee was saying, well, it's kind of weird because a week ago, I got a call from my former head coach, Rich Rodriguez, who said, hey, we need help. And he talked about the story that I just told you. And he said, they needed the help. I helped. So I'm under the impression that Pat McAfee just literally wrote a check or, gave around $1 million, $2 million to West Virginia so they could continue and honor the agreements they made with these kids and get them to go to school. I'm like, holy shit, that's the story that Rich Rodriguez didn't want us to tell. And there's Pat McAfee. And guess what? He can tell the story. It's his money. And I still wasn't going to tell it during the game, right? But I found that to be so interesting in a sense that college football is so out of its mind right now with everything that's going on. And we can bring it back home. You know, if the Baylor football program, it's no secret, is on the ropes. Dave Aranda's on the ropes. That was, you know, once you get Shahan J. Araja writing the piece that it's time, you know, I think we can all collectively agree it's time, because Shahan is one of the most thoughtful, well-intentioned sports writers, college football writers in the country, and he's a Baylor alum. And he loves Dave Aranda, right? So, like, as a person, so, like, that's not an easy story for him to write. But, you know, so, and I don't know how this looks. I don't have a roster. I'm not that close to it. You know, who gives the most money to Baylor? Like, is somebody going to be in Mack Rhodes' ear? Like, hey, like, here's who we need to hire. Here's who we shouldn't hire. Like, all that stuff is pretty crazy, you know? And it's just, we're in a different time. Going back in time, right? And I want to set this voicemail up for you. Matt Davis is one of my best friends in the world, and he spots for us when I do games. I've talked to you guys about that. Matt's been on the show. So Matt arrives in West Virginia on Saturday, like afternoon, and we're talking about the special relationships we have with coaches. And we were talking about one of our favorite coaches of all time, Jeff Hansen, defensive back coach at the University of Richmond. Just a great guy. I was in like a personal jam when I was in a senior in college. And I didn't go to the head coach. I didn't go to my position coach, Joe Cohen. I went to Jeff Hansen and asked him what I should do with tears in my eyes. And he gave me the advice. He's like, yeah, you need to go. You need to handle that. You need to go. It was like, all right. And I knew what to do. But so that's the kind of guy he was. He was like a dad away from home. He just really was. And I think one of the reasons he was is because when you arrive at Richmond and you started to play or be a part of the team, he was one of those guys. He was the hardest guy to crack. He was the hardest guy to get on your side. Like, he would always just be like breaking your balls. And you're about to hear, like, I could do his impression, but, you know, he'd be like, Peter, like, would you sleep in that shirt? You look terrible. And that would be it. Like, it would be, as a freshman, you'd be like, wow, this guy does not like me. He does not like us. So then as you evolve a little bit and you're a sophomore and a junior, and he starts to tell you, like, hey, you going out too much? You drinking too much? You got to knock that shit off. You're going to get yourself in trouble. You're going to become a loser. You know, like, and you're like, okay, I'm really vibing with this guy. And I'll tell you one more story before we play this voicemail, because I want to make it very clear how special of a guy this is. When he was part of the JMU staff right before Curt Cignetti got there, but they were playing in the 1AA tournament, right? Like the FCS playoffs. And Roy Philpott, who I was spotting for, had a game. And we went to, it was in at James Madison. Where the hell is that place? It's in Harrisonburg, Virginia. So I know Coach Hansen's a coach, and his team is at the hotel there, because, you know, teams stay at a hotel the night before a game, even if they're home, to get rid of distractions. And I see Coach Hansen, and he's like, Peter, what the hell are you doing here? And I'm like, Coach, man, I'm like, I'm doing good. I'm like, I'm sober. And he's like, you should be. You should be. You were crazy. I'm like, yeah, everything's going good. And he's like, how's McShay? You talk to him? He's not calling anybody back, is he? He doesn't call people back. It's bullshit. And I'm like, you know, we have this conversation, and I'm walking away, and he's got a million things going on because he's got a playoff game. He's got a coach. I'm walking away, and he goes, Peter, I love you. You know I love you. So that's a little context, right? And he's a badass coach. Coached at UVA for a long time. Obviously coached at Richmond, coached at James Madison. And now he's later in life. And Davis and I were talking like, yo, we got to call these guys more often, especially Hanson. He meant so much to us. So we called him and we left a message. And during the message, I was like, yo, coach, like, what the F is going on? You know what I mean? You MF-er. Let's doing like old school football talk. So he calls Dave. So we left a voicemail. He calls Davis back, and Scotty was nice enough. So here's the message. And this is, if you're offended by this, you really don't get the show. This is a big brother, father relationship that I had with Jeff Hanson. And this is the kind of language that we use and communicate with. But I can tell you it is so special. And when I heard this, my heart was so full, although you might think it should be the opposite. All right, go ahead, Scotty.
Nice message. Tell Sousa that, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put him in a headlock and squeeze him so he can't breathe. That wouldn't take much. Yeah, give me a call. Tell him I really appreciate him talking about me on all his podcasts. All he talks about is Franklin or Joe Cullen. All right, see you later.
Frank Leonard was the running backs coach. Joe Cullen, defensive line coach. Cullen's now Chris Jones, defensive line coach in Kansas City. But dude, what a great, like, so here I am. You get your wish, coach. I'm talking about you. One of the biggest badasses I've ever been around. A guy who, once you earned his respect, you felt like you belonged. And a guy who I know I could call right now and would help me move a body, right? You just heard him. He would do it, okay? I love Coach Hanson, and, he just retired probably about, I think, 2022 he officially retired. He was one of those guys you just couldn't stop coaching. But, yeah, a guy like that has had a positive impact on so many lives. And he's a guy that, I'm sure you may have never heard of. But that is like the relationships and how special college football is, and just what we build as a team. All right, we're going to step aside. We're going to come back with Steve Lyons, the great Steve Lyons. We're talking about the World Series, which, by the way, is tied at 2 games apiece after an amazing 18-inning game and a Freddie Freeman walk-off. And then, of course, last night, Toronto takes care of business. We're tied at 2, and better news than that, we got Steve Lyons coming. We'll step aside, be right back. Pete Sousa Show is presented by Slavaz.
Bubble allows you to make it real and for it to actually work. So I feel like Bubble bridges that gap and being able to give people the opportunity to make their ideas come to life really quickly too. I love that I can sit down and build something the way that I think it should be built and have the control over it.
Bubble turns ideas into fully scalable apps. Try Bubble today.
Hi, I'm Jo from Face Theory. You're going to want to have a specific goal for your skincare routine. What do you want to achieve? Active ingredients are really strong, and if you're using too many at once, your skin can get overwhelmed. Don't overspend on products. Choose products that have scientific research behind them. At Face Theory, if you're not happy with a product, just say so, just give us a shout and we'll give you your money back, no problem.
I know you're gonna love this Kodak Dot Plus printer. You guys just connect it to your smartphone and then you're going to use the Kodak Photo Print app. It's going to print you a 4x6 photo. I am just in awe. I love how these turned out. Also, the printer comes with a free cartridge of 10 photo sheets. I can assure you, you are going to love this printer as much as my family has. You guys have to check it out for yourself.
Streamline event and appointment booking with Amelia's sleek, modern, and fully customizable booking forms. Tailor the colors, fonts, and design to match your brand and seamlessly integrate with your WordPress website. Whether it's for events or appointments, Amelia makes booking simple, stylish, and perfectly aligned with your business. Enhance your booking experience today at WPAmelia.com. That's WPAMELIA.com. Amelia.
When you learn a language with Babbel, you start a journey that takes you further and further. Anytime and anywhere you wish. It's easy and fun. Broadens your horizons and keeps your brain fit. A journey into new thoughts, new cultures, new adventures. So what are you waiting for? Start your journey with Babbel now. Go to babbel.com or download the app.
BadCreditLoans.com is a pioneering service provider that has carved a reputation in the financial industry for its dedication to helping individuals with bad credit secure loans. By making timely repayments, borrowers can gradually repair their credit history, thereby increasing their chances of securing better loan terms in the future. BadCreditLoans.com serves as a beacon of hope for those with bad credit. Simple, fast, and reliable loan application process. And its commitment to responsible borrowing makes it.
Serving Central Texas since 1889, TFNB Your Bank for Life takes pride in being more than a bank. At TFNB, we remain committed to these principles. If you value them too, come join us. TFNB, Your Bank for Life.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Sousa to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code Sousa. That's S-O-U-S-A. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.
All right, the Pete Sousa Show is back. We got Steve Lyons waiting in the wings, which is a pretty huge get for our boy Visser. One, because that's just Chris Visser doing what he does, bringing in people he's close with and even people he doesn't know that are just marquee guests that make this show great. But I've always had an affinity for Steve Lyons, so to be able to chat with him is very cool for me. Scotty, if he's ready, we can bring him in. Yo, Steve, what's up, man? Now he's muted right now. And it looks like he's getting help over there too. All good, Steve. We got plenty of time. We're totally chilling. So we'll wait for him to get that right. I mean, it looked like by the way, good for you, Steve, as we wait on him. But, if you guys aren't familiar with Steve, I'd like to welcome you out from under a rock. Obviously, a playing career. It started with the Red Sox, ended with the Red Sox, had great years with the Braves, had great years with a great year with the Expos. You might remember him as a White Sox. And you certainly remember him from his work on television, specifically in Los Angeles for the Dodgers and then on Fox Sports. But some of the things as we move more into this World Series, right? I mean, we're tied at 2. Steve, I think I got your audio now too.
Yeah. I was assuming that you were giving me this like 45-minute introduction that sounded amazing.
So is that who was helping you right there?
My fiance there, half naked, but
Look at you, man. Still Steve Lyons.
Fine, man.
So where are you now? Are you at home?
Actually, we are took a few days to come up to wine country up in Napa, so we did that.
Nice, and I appreciate you taking the time. I am, by the way, engaged as well, so I'm getting married in June. So congratulations to you and to me, I guess.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Looking forward to it, man. I've always been a big fan of yours, your personality, your skill set as a player, obviously your work broadcasting, and nobody better to talk about this series and a little bit about you and your life than Steve Lyons. My first question starts back with that 18-inning game and then moves forward into last night. What is it like for a team in such a high-stakes affair like the World Series to play 18 innings and then come back and play the next day? Have you ever experienced something like that? And in your experience, what the hell were those guys going through last night after Monday night?
Yeah, I mean, it's brutal, actually. I mean, you're not supposed to play 2 games in one night and continuously and with the pressure of the World Series. I mean, I've played in games. I think we played in a 21-inning game against the Yankees one time, but that was regular season. And it was great for me because I actually got to play. I'm usually sitting on the bench. They eventually put me in and said, oh, geez, maybe we can get this thing over. He'll boot one or strike out 3 times and we can go home. But during the World Series, that game matters. And, I'm thinking about this. I could be wrong, but I'm thinking the last time there was an 18-inning game, it was against the Red Sox. And the Red Sox lost. And to me, it's like, no way do you come back and win the next night if you're the team that loses. You can't sleep. That's all you're thinking about. You got to get right back up and do it again. But guess what? In both instances, the Dodgers lost the next game, which to me was amazing. I really thought that the Jays were behind the 8 ball with Ohtani pitching, and you got, Bieber coming out, who's, he's showing up mostly on guts after the arm injury and, probably back a little earlier than he should be and trying to give them what he can. So I was pretty impressed. I've been impressed with the Jays the entire postseason.
Basic question, but it's not basic because I'm talking to Steve Lyons. What, like Ohtani, what are we seeing here? At what level of unique really is he and history making that we're watching before our eyes?
We always played against guys that were other level. Like there's the big leagues, and then there were guys like for Barry Bonds and some Roger Clemens and some of these guys that there should have been another league for them to go to. Ohtani would be above that. I mean, no one's ever seen anything like this. I mean, and I think it kind of got glossed over because they walked him 5 times the other night. But in his previous 7 at-bats to that, he was 7 for 7 with 5 homers and 2 doubles. It's ridiculous. Who does that? It's just, to me, it's amazing. And every time you think, oh, there's no way he can hit another home run, can he? And then he does. So, and then the pitching, obviously he was gassed, but it wasn't like he stunk it up. He gave up a 2-run homer to Junior. And then I know those runs got accredited to him because, someone else let him in. So I think he probably ended up with like 4 earnings or something like that last night. But another amazing performance, and give him an opportunity where he starts to pitch. He's going to win 15 games next year. He's going to win 15 games, hit 40 and won't run as much. He didn't run as much this year, obviously. So probably the 50-50, 60-60 season might be over with, but he's still going to hit 40 to 50 home runs and he'll win 15 games. When they gave him the $700 million, my prediction for his offseason contract was, I'm his agent. I walk in and I say, I have your best hitter. I want 10 years, $250 million. I turn around, I walk out the door, I come back in and I say, I have your best pitcher. I want 10 years and $250 million. So that's 10 years, $500 million. I was off by $200 million. And guess what? It's a steal. It's a great deal for the Dodgers.
How would he have done? You came into the league, I think, in 85 and you retired and moved into TV around 93. How would he have done against your generation of player?
I think he's absolutely generational. I don't think anyone could stop him in any league, any generation, anywhere. I'll ask you the question. Do you see any reason why he wouldn't excel in any era?
No, I honestly, I don't. I think he might have some problems, and this is kind of like, I don't even want to get into this, but Barry Bonds at the top of his game, doing whatever he was doing, that could be trouble for just about anybody. But I mean, I can't think of any other issues he might run into.
Yeah, I mean, they may have walked him a little bit more like they did with Bonds. I actually called the game where they walked Bonds with the bases loaded, and it was actually a very smart move, and they ended up winning the game. That might have happened to him a little more in the regular season than I think it does currently. But, I don't know. I wanted to see Ohtani hit, but I certainly had no problem with them walking him. They walked him 4 straight times intentionally, and then the 5th time was basically an intentional walk. 5 times in a row, sure, we want to see him hit, but if I'm Schneider, I got to win the game. And I'm not going to let that guy keep hurting me.
You mentioned Schneider, the manager. Which manager is pushing the right buttons and pulling the right levers so far in this series?
Well, in today's game, I'm not sure the manager pulls any buttons anymore. It seems like the dude upstairs, it's like the Oz with a computer, and his analytics. And, I'm old school. And so you'll hear me bitch about the fact that the analytics is taken over and stuff. We could go on and on and on. If you want to start talking about 2 nights ago's game, I'm going to sound like my old man, no small ball. Nobody could bunt. If they tried to bunt, they messed it up. You saw guys for 9 straight innings trying to hit the ball out of the park with every swing. You had pitchers in the game that probably didn't belong in the game. You know that both managers didn't want half of those guys in a game that mattered. And yet guys go up there hacking at the first pitch. They're not trying to work the count. They're not trying to get a walk. They're not trying to get a guy over and get him in. And so we watched 9 innings of guys just swinging for the trees. Now, I'll back that up by saying, was it an instant classic as far as the World Series is concerned? Yes. Did we see some fantastic defense, some great plays being made in the 18 innings? If you were able to stay up that long, I watched it. But yeah, it's a different game than I played. And I swear someday it's going to start swinging back.
Yeah.
Some analytics is great, but it's just so far over the top now. Everyone's launch angle and trying to hit a ball that's up here that's not a strike, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I was curious about that. Like, it's all sheet music now, and there's no jazz, right? Like, and it's kind of a bummer, right? What do you think it will take for us to move back into the type of baseball that I grew up obsessed with, right? Watching you play in your era. And I don't know if it's because I've grown older, maybe I've grown out of it a little, but my attention to the game has certainly deteriorated somewhat. And I think analytics is a part of that. I do.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And some of the analytics, a lot of the analytics are actually good. You should have a lot of that. I mean, I look at it, if they had analytics when I played, I was a left-handed dead pull hitter, couldn't hit the ball the other way, couldn't hit a breaking ball. If you put 4 guys on the right side of the infield, I never would have got a hit. And I would have been out of the big leagues. I got 9 years in the big leagues, mostly because I could catch the ball. But I'll tell you what, all my hits were to the right side. If someone really studied what I did when I played like they do now, I would never have gotten a hit. The shift, I hate the shift, but don't tell me I can't use it. It's one of those things. Why do we make an artificial rule telling me that I'm trying to beat you? And I know that Steve Lyons is on your team and he's going to hit the ball the right side. I'm going to put 5 guys over there and you'll never beat me with Steve Lyons. But there's this artificial rule now telling me I can't do that. What is that about? The size of the bases. I like the pitch clock. It's the only thing I like. Yeah. I haven't liked the changes in baseball since they brought replay in. And that was back when I was working for Fox. And I guarantee if you look at the past tapes there, I told you it was going to be a bad idea when they brought it in back then. There's guys on their computers that want baseball to be a perfect game. And it isn't. You know why? Because it's perfect the way it is. It's perfectly imperfect. Baseball is what taught me adversity as a kid. It was the way that I learned how to get smacked down and then stand back up again. That taught me that life wasn't fair. Now everything's supposed to be fair and perfect. I don't need it.
Is there a story that you've heard that you can share about a manager, getting a call from on high whether it's the GM or somebody during a game about making a switch. You know, like I grew up, you always would hear the rumors like Al Davis called down to the sideline and told Art Shell, you know, to put Jay Schrader in. Like that's actually happening now in baseball.
It absolutely is. But, you know, we all have, they have the iPads and you have bench coaches. And I believe there's a number of teams that have like a quality control coach. What is that? Guys in a uniform, some dude's never played baseball in his life, sitting there in a uniform, quality control. If you can explain to me what that is, I know. But yeah, there are a lot of moves being made from upstairs. Some managers have less control than others. I mean, I hearken back to like 2018 when I was with the Red Sox and the Red Sox beat the Dodgers in the World Series. The Red Sox were very heavily analytic, but they also let Alex Cora, you know, use his heart and see what he sees. You know, he's standing right in front of there. He's looking in the guy's eye. He knows he has his good stuff today. I'm not taking him out right now just because it's the third time through the order, because he's got his good stuff and I can see that he's going to keep going, and I'm not going to burn up my bullpen for the next 3 days because the analytics tells me to get the guy out. They gave him some leeway. Guess what? They were the best team in baseball that year and they won the World Series.
Now, last question about the World Series, then I want to talk about you a little bit. How do you think this is going to play out?
Yeah, I tell you what. Oh gosh, I'm going to get in trouble somewhere along the line. You know, I worked for the Dodgers for 10 years, and I technically got let go there because they changed networks, which was probably one of the. I mean, I got fired about 4 times, but that was the worst way. I mean, did I do anything? No, I was there for 10 years. I thought I was doing a good job, and I got let go. So, should the Dodgers win? Absolutely. And do I live in LA? Yes. And is my fiance a big Dodger fan? Yes. Am I a Dodger fan? Not so much. You know, a bad taste in my mouth. So, you know, with the money they spend and the superstars on that team that they have, I love the guys. You know, I love the guys back from when I was around. It was a great time to be around them. But there's a little bit of a wry smile on my face when they don't win, because they're supposed to win, you know? And so when a team like the Jays steps up and knocks them down a little bit, ooh, you get a little nervous. Now it's best 2 out of 3. So I really like what the Jays have been doing. Plus, they don't have half of their superstars. Santander's gone. Springer's out now. They're talking about Springer coming back today. Not with an oblique. It's an oblique that I know. If it is this oblique injury, you're not coming back tomorrow. And if he does, you know, it's only going to take one more swing before he's back out of there.
How does a guy from Tacoma, Washington, who bounces around the Red Sox farm system, like 4 or 5 different teams over the course of a handful of years, make it to the bigs and stick?
Mine was all heart. Mine was that I knew I wasn't better than you, but I was going to find a way to beat you on that day. So it was, for me, is like when I talk to younger kids now, I tell them 2 things: learn how to hit the ball the other way, because I couldn't. You know, it's like, wait on the ball, hit the ball the other way. You'll learn how to pull when you get older instead of trying to pull everything. And then it's a little bit harder when they throw you a little breaking ball. And the other is, they'll find you if you hustle, if you have desire. Like some people will come to me and say, tell me if my kid has a shot at being a major leaguer. And I'm like, all right, how old's your kid? Well, he's 8 right now. I'm like, all right, let me see his game. And so the kid's playing third base and they hit a ball to the second baseman, and that kid from third base runs over and tries to catch it. That's my guy. You show me a guy that wants to go, that wants it and hustles on and off the field and running. He's getting dirty. He's playing hard because he wants to do it. You know, that's something you can't really teach. You show me that guy, I show you a guy who's got a chance to make it to the big leagues. That's what I was.
18 innings the other night. If you had the opportunity, if they were like, all right, Steve, we need you to go in right now, but you're a utility guy. What position would you pick to play in a game like that?
You know, I was a natural center fielder. I grew up my whole life as a center fielder because my dad liked to hit fly balls, and I was afraid of ground balls at first when I was a kid. My college coach taught me how to do it, and that helped me out a lot. But second base is where I'd go in and play. I love the action around second base. Of course, not as much action now. You know, you can't get taken out of a play, but you're just so much more into the game. I used to have this conversation with Marty Barrett, and he said, you know, Steve, you're playing.
Marty Barrett.
Yeah. Marty, great guy.
Yeah.
He says, you're playing center field, I'm playing second base. You don't have to be ready on every pitch. I'm like, are you kidding me, Marty? Are you come on? You're known as one of the smartest guys. He goes, yeah, but I have to pay attention way more. I have way more things to worry about. I'm like, yeah, but I'm still playing my position with as much gusto as you are. I'm doing my job. But there is more responsibility, more things to do, more fun, more guys to talk to. When you're a second baseman, you're in center field, you got your finger up your nose half the time, just hanging around, doing no one to talk to. But I want to go back to the earlier question that you asked me about when does it swing? I'm telling you, you and me, if we manage the team next year and you give me pitching, defense, and speed, old school National League baseball, we would win a World Series because no one can do that now. And if you manufactured runs and played good defense and had decent pitching, boom, game over. We win.
What was your favorite part about calling games for the Dodgers, working with someone like Vin Scully? Is there a particular story or experience you had working with someone like that? I just got to ask you that question.
Well, the tough part with my 10 years with the Dodgers is I never worked with Vin because you remember he worked by himself.
Yeah.
And did all the games that he didn't do. I saw him every night. And I did 100 pre and post game shows, most of those at home because Vin did all the home games and he traveled within our division.
You work with Eric Collins a lot, right?
Eric Collins, guy, great guy. It was the Dodgers, I worked for the Red Sox and the Dodgers calling games. It doesn't get a whole lot better than that. And the Dodgers broadcast crew and the broadcast network when I was there, and I'm assuming it's even better now, but it was, I worked for the Fox network and that was the ultimate, obviously, but the Dodgers were about that much lower than what the Fox did production wise. Excellent people that were in the truck, the knowledge and the awareness. So, calling games was a dream and I loved doing it. I just, kept getting fired everywhere I went, I guess. I fun and I told the truth. People don't like that, they don't like it.
People can have an issue with that sometimes. It's funny how that works out, especially when you're saying it on broadcast television. Yeah. What was it like when you were working for the Red Sox to see them achieve that World Series year you mentioned? I have to imagine that, Boston's a fraternal city, and you were a Red Sox twice in your career. So you 4 times, 4 times.
Yeah.
So you end up back there, broadcasting games. For you, what was that like coming home?
Well, it was great. My father's originally from Boston. I grew up in Oregon as a Red Sox fan because of my father. So when I got drafted by them and obviously made the big leagues with them, that was, it was a big deal. And then coming back to talk about the team, I was there for about 8 or 9 years and, decent years, but 18 was a dream year too. The Red Sox were just the best team in baseball. There was no question about it. I guess the only drawback, there was one great thing about working for NESN that happened there is that they made sure that the broadcast team and people around the organization that worked for NESN all got a championship ring. I have this big, it's over there. I should grab it for you. I had this big championship game from the Red Sox from 2018 that I didn't earn on the field, but I certainly wear it when I need to show off if I'm going to a nice dinner or I'm speaking somewhere. But the drawback was I did mostly pre and post game shows for the Red Sox. I did a handful of games, but the pre and post game show didn't travel with the team. So we didn't get to know those guys as much as when I worked for the Dodgers. When we traveled with the ball club, I'm with them every day. They knew who I was. They knew my reputation as a broadcaster. They knew that I wasn't going to bury them, but I was going to be honest. And I showed up on the field and looked them in the eye every day, the next day after I may have said something critical about one of the players to say, hey, if you have an issue with me, let's talk about it. And it never happened. But the difference in Boston was we weren't as close. We didn't travel. And so it was kind of like almost sometimes doing the games in a bubble a little bit. So that was a little more disappointing. But that 18 team was amazing.
Did you ever have, and that's a great, honestly, I don't know whether you would consider yourself a journalist, but that is like a journalistic integrity you just shared with us, that feature, that quality. Did you ever have a moment working for the Dodgers when a player walks up to you and says, yo, what the F, dude? I heard what you said last night. My wife told me, or my mom told me.
Yeah, that's the best way it happens. Usually I'll say, hey, you should, AJ Ellis, man, he's such a great catcher. He does a great job behind the plate. He's amazing. He hits well enough to play the position. And then what happens is his friend hears it, and he hears me saying something like, I don't know, he doesn't play the position very well. He tells his girlfriend, and his girlfriend tells him, Steve Lyons said, you're a terrible catcher. It's always third way down the line. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what happened at all. I had a problem. The only problem I ever had was with Ozzie Smith. And it was when I was working for Fox. And it was when Ozzie Smith made the All-Star team in one of his last years. And I said that he didn't deserve to be on the All-Star team. They had, God, I won't remember the names, but it was like they had Larkin. They had Nick Kasaski, who was having a good year. And there was one other guy on the team that had a good enough year to make the All-Star team. None of those guys made it. And Ozzie Smith made it as the only representative, I'm pretty sure, from the Cardinals that year. And I said, this is wrong. He shouldn't be on the team. It's not. And then so I saw him at the All-Star game, and he did come up to me and said, I heard what you said. And I'm like, well, then tell me why you deserve to be here. And he said to me, because I've had an All-Star career. And I said, it's sort of a legit point, but not really. And you have. Ozzie Smith's amazing. What a great player. No disrespect to his ability. The guy changed the way shortstops played, right? With the creativity and his ability. But that year he wasn't an All-Star. One year I had a chance to make an All-Star team. I think it was 87 with the White Sox, 87 or 88. I was having a pretty good year, and no one else was because we stunk and we weren't very good, and I was doing okay. But what I did is, with a month to go before the All-Star game, I started looking at it going, if I just hang in there, I might make the team. Well, and then our only representative from the All-Star team that year was Ozzie Guillen, and he was hurt. So he made the team. And so how about if you had a chance to make the All-Star team, and it might be the only chance you ever had to make the All-Star team, but you didn't make it because Ozzie Smith made the team that year instead of you. So an All-Star happens every season. So if you're not an All-Star every season, then that's it. Sorry, that was a long story.
No, it was you bring Ozzie. That's the best, because when you think of somebody of that ilk, still kind of, I love it, because we're all humans, a little insecure, right? Hey, why'd you say that? I think that's terrific. Go ahead.
Critical but fair.
Yes. Yeah, always fair.
And most of us know if I make a mistake on the field and I have to hear about it later, if I really look in the mirror, I'll be like, yeah, the guy's right. He's right. I should have thrown the ball to second base and not third base. It was a mistake. Usually I only got on guys that didn't hustle. If you don't hustle, you're going to hear from me. And if you make a mental mistake, physical mistakes happen. I'm rarely going to say anything. Usually I'll say, hey, let's watch that in replay again. Well, let's watch this in slow motion. You see the funny little hop it took at the end? Or maybe if he just flat out booted it, I'll say something like, geez, 9 times out of 10, he makes this play, but he just had a little lapse in concentration. It skipped right underneath him. That's going to hurt. But, we'll see if they can get out of it or whatever. I'm not going to say, oh, how can you not make that play? It's terrible. You're terrible. So
all the time you spent working in LA, what was your favorite, only in LA working for the Dodgers moment? I'm sure you have a bunch of them. Is there one that sticks out you could share?
Yeah, here's a good one. We had Manny Ramirez after they ran him out of Boston. He came to the Dodgers and really carried the team into the playoffs himself. I think he led the team in home runs after he got here after the All-Star break. But they made a left field section called Mannywood instead of Hollywood because he hit all his home runs over there. And one day they made a bobblehead of him. They hustled and made a quick bobblehead of Manny Ramirez, and then on the bobblehead night, he didn't play. so he's on the bench and he doesn't play. And then late in the game, we're getting beat and the game's, I don't know, they tie the game up late in the game and the bases are loaded and he comes up to pinch hit and he hits a grand slam. To me, that's Hollywood. That's, it doesn't happen anywhere else. He hits a grand slam on his own bobblehead night on a day he doesn't even play. And so I thought that was funny.
That's a pretty good one. Couple more for you, then I'll let you get back to wine country. You were, your nickname, Psycho. Obviously extremely intense. Also a guy who knew how to keep a clubhouse loose when it got tight. How do you keep a team that you feel as a veteran is tense tonight? We got a big game. We're kind of holding the steering wheel too tight. Is there a go-to move for you or something you could do to loosen up the clubhouse and get guys playing fast and loose where you know they're going to be their best?
Usually in a situation like that, it's humor. You find a way to be funny at a time where nothing else is going on. Like the entire clubhouse is quiet. Guys, are starting to get ready. You find a way to be funny. Or, I thought Guerrero Jr. had a pretty good comment the other night. He said he came in late and everyone had their heads down. And he's like, what, is it over? Because, it's like you go back to Animal House. It's not over until it's over, And he said, where's the music? Let's play the music. You're down and stuff. You gotta put it behind you. And, to me, it was always find a way to be funny, but it is tough. I can tell you that, being the guy in the clubhouse, that's a little bit of a cut up and a funny guy. It's tough to be that guy when you're not an impact player too. I certainly wasn't an impact player. So I had to be careful not to step on toes, like to, try to be funny in a situation where one of the veterans might say, hey, not now, so you got to toe that line a little bit where it's like, no one's really listening to me when I stand up and say, come on, you guys, let's go. This is crazy. But if I stand up and, I don't know, do something that's just a little bit more off the wall and doesn't have much to do with let's play harder and, kind of lighten the tension. And that was kind of the way I tried to do it.
Do you have any memories were you on the playoff roster in 86 for the Red Sox?
I got traded for Tom Seaver at the deadline in 86. So I was actually in Chicago. And again, all due respect to the Mets and everything, the Red Sox that year were the best team in baseball. And I got to play half the season with them. And it was the most amazing year I ever had because I wasn't playing that much, obviously. But it was a team that we blamed ourselves when we lost. It was, players rarely get to play on a team where you say, oh, we got beat tonight? Oh, someone's going to have to pay tomorrow. And that was the way we looked at it. And it was a great team to kind of grow up on. And then I got traded out and got a little bit more of an opportunity to play with the White Sox. But if you're a player and you get the opportunity to play on a team like that, it makes life easier.
Do you believe or buy the story that John McNamara had Buckner out there because he wanted him on the field for when they won the series?
Yeah, I do believe that. I think that, it was a tip of the cap to Buck. But I also, people say, oh, Dave Stapleton should have been out there. And maybe he should have. But he went out there far fewer times than people think. You know? It's a good war cry to say, oh, why wasn't Dave Stapleton out there?
Yeah, totally. I don't think it's like a huge, egregious error, but it is interesting just the way it all played out.
It was the Lord. Did you see that ball? It goes through his glove. He didn't literally through his glove. It was just not the time for the Red Sox, I guess. And you talk about respect for a guy, Bill Buckner. He is one of the number one guys in my lifetime for respect as a player because I watched him come to the Red Sox when he had to ice his ankles for an hour before and after the game. And this is a guy who used to be able to fly. When he was with the Dodgers and the Cubs, he could run. I mean, he's stolen bases. He's first to third. He's first to home with anybody. And then I watched what he had to do just to get on the field and play. It was unbelievable. And for McNamara to say, yeah, I want him on the field at the end, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, he was basically held together by chewing gum by the time he ended up there. Hey,
top Nike.
What's that?
And his high top Nikes.
Yeah. So do you still live in Hermosa?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So my brother Kevin, this guy here, Kevin Sousa, he passed away in 2 years ago from cancer. But Kevin Sousa's his name. He always played music out there. He was a therapist. He was he said, seeing you around town, that you were like the real cool, just a great guy. He lived on Loma Drive. Yeah.
What's funny is I've lived off of Loma Drive twice. And gosh, why can't I think of his name? He's a guy that plays guitar around town right now. And I believe he credited your brother with his inspiration of why he plays. Gosh,
Mikey Jerome, maybe?
Mikey Jerome.
Yes.
Jerome with his heart, because he has a terrible voice, but he sings songs And he said that Sousa was the only guy that really believed in him and kept it going. So now Mikey Jerome's had a couple paid gigs. I've showed a couple of them. He's a great dude. It's not, he does himself well when he has a couple backup singers with him. He won't even be mad at me for saying that, but he's such a great guy, and he's around town all the time.
Steve, you're the man. I had to get personal with you there. I figured you might have a connection to my bro, and it makes my day that you do. And thank you for all you've done for the sport of baseball, for broadcast television, and just being one of those guys who can lift a person's spirits when they just see you on their TV.
Yeah, I'm the poster boy for doing what you shouldn't do on TV, probably.
Hey, look, there's some good in that. Al Michaels said you got to keep the rascal going. You had a real rascal.
Yeah, it was funny at Fox. It was weird. They hired me. When they hired me, they said we need you to be the funny guy, we need you to be the controversial one, and we need you to be the outspoken one. And I was for 10 years, and then made one mistake, and they ran me out the back door.
Steve, man.
And by the way, I don't even admit to the mistake. It wasn't a mistake. They really had to connect some dots to make what I said a bad thing. So anyway,
All right. Well, look, dude. Do you want to share what the mistake was?
It takes too long. But when I got fired for making the comment with Lou Piniella doing a playoff game, I had said something in bad Spanish, and he had been talking about finding wallets before. And I said something about I knew I was going to make a call back to him finding wallets.
Yeah.
And I said, now I can't understand you, and my wallet's missing. And so Fox tried to connect the dots and basically said, you just said that if you're a Spanish-speaking person that they would steal your wallet. And I'm like, no, I didn't come close to saying that. And by the way, I work for the Dodgers, and I've been there for 10 years and have a great reputation. All due respect, the Dodgers fan base and audience is probably 70-80% Hispanic. Awesome fans. I never had any problem with anybody there.
Yeah.
Anyone who can find a prejudice bone in my body, you keep looking. We'll be here. You better bring a lunch. So
do you want to get back into broadcasting?
I'm 65 now. You
look like you're 50, so that's a start.
I loved it. I mean, I put my heart and soul into it. I studied it. I wasn't some ex-player that walked in and thought I could get by on my laurels because I didn't have any. So I knew I had to be better than some guy with a big name. Sorry for the arrogance. I had no arrogance when I played because I wasn't any good, but I was a good broadcaster and I loved doing it. And I worked at it and I had great partners. I worked with Tom Brenneman, who may be one of the best of all time, in my opinion. And we worked together 6 or 7 years. He had a little problem. Now he's back on the CW doing football games.
Yeah.
He's amazing. I worked in an organization that had Joe Buck and, Tim McCarver and me and Bob Brenly. And, I had great examples. Our production crew was unbelievably amazing. It was such a beautiful job to have. And then I got to work for the Dodgers at the same time. So it was, I was in heaven and making decent money, not what guys make now, but way better than when I played. And so I absolutely miss it. But now, I would have to have almost someone come to me and they would have to answer questions. Like, you'd have to get past 3 questions when you hired me. He's 65 years old. What does he have left? He has been fired for controversial remarks. How are you handling that? You almost have to have a GM or a guy who has the guts enough to answer those questions and say, we don't think he did anything wrong, and we think he's a good broadcaster, and we're running out there with him, and we're going to have fun with it again. So if that situation ever came up, I would give it a shot again because I do have a lot left in the tank. But being retired doesn't suck either.
You definitely don't suck. Steve Lyons, man, enjoy wine country. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to share it with us today.
I'll do it with you anytime and get your butt out to Hermosa. I got a spare bedroom.
You got it, man. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it. Oh man, that went way better than I ever thought. What a great guy. You hear about these people. And again, my brother referencing just Steve Lyons being a great dude to see around town and great energy and great reputation. And to talk to him and to talk baseball and then to learn about him. it's so cool to know how many good souls are actually out there and working in sports, right? And sharing time with us on the Pete Sousa Show. All right, we'll step aside, do a quick wrap, and hit the bricks. Thank you guys so much for watching with us. Pete Sousa presented by Slovac.
It doesn't matter if your investment budget is small or big. All you need is Benzinga Pro and its powerful news alerts, price tracking, and portfolio monitoring. Subscribe now, and we'll skyrocket your portfolio today.
Experience with the Bosley MD hair regrowth kit was amazing. It was easy to use. It let me take off my hat. I could go in public and have my picture taken and feel normal again.
BosleyMD.com.
Join us at golfpartnerusa.com and discover why we're the trusted choice for golf lovers worldwide. That's GOLFPARTNERUSA.com. Golf Partner. Experience the future of secure private cloud storage with Internix. Protect your files with end-to-end encryption, ensuring your data stays private and accessible only to you. That's INTERNXT.com today.
Apollo Neuro is a new kind of wearable that helps your body recover from stress, that helps you calm down and feel better. You sleep better, and you can get back to being yourself. Learn more at apolloneuro.com.
Protect your online privacy with NordVPN. Browse securely, access content from anywhere, and keep your data safe with military-grade encryption. NordVPN.com. That's NORDVPN.com.
Our patented handles were launched in 2018. We continue to push the boundaries of strength training. Join us in making your training more natural and effective. Visit Engels90.com to learn more and revolutionize your workout.
Dive into adventure with Scuba.com, your ultimate destination for top-tier scuba and snorkeling gear. Whether you're a beginner or a pro, trust Scuba.com for the best in diving equipment and expert guidance. Explore now at Scuba.com. That's SCUBA.com. Scuba.
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Sousa to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code Sousa. That's SOUSA. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog. Make picks. Win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.
Hello. This is the Pete Sousa Show. I'm Scotty Swingler. I produce this show, and I also like to tell you why we love Underdog. I did jinx myself yesterday. If you were watching yesterday, I made some picks and I said, hey, 3 in a row, I've won money. Well, last night it didn't work out for me, but that's why you keep playing Underdog. Cause hey, if I go 3 for 4 every week, I'm going to be just fine. So here are my picks for tonight's NBA action. If you would like to make some money with me on Underdog, this is what I'd recommend. Domantas Sabonis. Can I just tell you that last NBA season, this guy was my best Underdog pick every time I used him. Higher than 16.5 points. That's child's play for Sabonis. Keontae George. You know I love when I can give love to the Baylor guys. Keontae George, higher than 17.5 points. His worst performance this season so far is 17. You think he's not going to go over 17.5? I do. And then this got me some money over the weekend. It's going to happen again. Klay Thompson against Indiana, higher than 1.5 3-pointers made. That dude is out there to shoot threes. He's going to make higher than 1.5. And again, great thing about Underdog, I did this with the flex pick. So check it out. If 2 of these 3 are correct, I don't lose money. And if 3 of 3 are correct, I win money. So it's this great option if you're like, man, I don't know if I can pick 3, 4. Well, listen, you do the flex pick, and then you've got a little mulligan in there. So if I get 2 of these, I'm good. Those are my picks for tonight. Underdog, remember, use that promo code Sousa, Sousa, and they will give you a bunch of bonus cash when you put in $5. Great way to just keep playing on Underdog. Speaking of the promo code Sousa, it's not just a code, it's a man. It's a beautiful man. And he's here in Waco, finally. I feel like I haven't seen him in a month.
It's great. It's great to be back. I do want to give you an opportunity. And if you don't want to do this, you don't have to.
You talking to me?
Yeah. I was curious. Do you, look, people have talked about the possibility of Dave Aranda being jettisoned.
Yes.
Do you want to give me your top 5 names? That I know you've got a long list. Do you want to give me a couple favorites that you would have? Again, I'm basing this all now. I feel like liberated that Shahan has written a story.
Yeah.
So I kind of
and I, little insider info, I knew Sunday he was going to put that out. Okay. And I obviously didn't say anything publicly till it came out. But Shahan, if you don't know Shahan, Jay Raja at CBS Sports, the most objective, true journalist, balanced. Like, this is not a hot take guy. This is not guy swinging out of left field like outrage. Right. Yeah. Very reasonable. I'll give you 5. I will say I'm going to write an article myself, Pete, with a top at least 25 candidates for this job.
Give me 5 and then give me your biggest long shot.
Okay. I'm also going to write about an article about my profile for the best candidate. I've talked about that. Okay. Yeah. 5. 5 that I want, or 5 that I think are likely?
Likely. Okay. Be a reporter.
Okay. Objectively.
You're back at the layer.
Removing my bias. Okay. The 5 today would be Eric Morris at North Texas. It would still be G.J. Kinney at Texas State. He's having a bad year.
Yeah, he is.
He's definitely a less, I think, trendy candidate than he was even a month ago. But I still think if Baylor makes this move, he gets a call from Baylor or a conversation.
Dad played here.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish I'd pulled this up before I started talking. I'm going to say Mike Gundy.
Boy, Gundy would be that would be amazing.
There's a lot, man. Brian Newberry, I think, is one that really fits what Mac likes to do. If you're unfamiliar, head coach at Navy, was the defensive coordinator there for a very long time, played football at Baylor, from Oklahoma, so knows the region and the area, played here, is kicking butt at Navy, by the way. Would immediately bring some discipline, credibility, And then there's so many names. You know all these names. A lot of people really like John Summerall at Tulane. I think he's likely to get a call.
Okay.
The other one is Will Stein at Oregon. Texas guy, obviously kicking butt as a coordinator. I don't think we're gonna hire another coordinator since it didn't work so well with Dave.
Yeah.
I think we're probably more likely to hire a guy who's been a head coach. But if we're gonna hire a coordinator, it's probably Will Stein at Oregon that gets the first call. The long shot. Let me fill you out for this one. I think Mike Singletary is the long shot.
Huh.
Baylor fans will remember he was the trendiest, most hyped candidate in 2007 when Baylor ended up hiring Art Briles. Shortly after that, he became the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers, and we all know that didn't go very well.
Yeah, but he was within an eyelash of the playoffs, at least 1 year.
And we all know it wasn't a great tenure. He wasn't there very long. I don't know that he's coached since.
He coached high school, I know that.
But
I think he did some.
He has been more involved with the Baylor football program in the past couple years than he's been in a very long time. I think here's why he would be attractive. I joked last week that RG3 should be part of the program. Baylor doesn't want RG3 as part of that program. I'm sorry. Baylor wants RG3 to continue being the celebrity in public, advocating for Baylor, but he's had a couple slip-ups with what he says publicly. I think Baylor would be hesitant with this. Part of why they love Aranda, right, is he's the culture fit and he's very safe. Singletary checks every single off-the-field box for Baylor. Outspoken Christian guy, A+ character, NFL Hall of Famer. Outside of RG3, he's easily your most famous former player, right? He has been a head coach. He can motivate players.
Yes.
You know he's going to probably be able to get a good staff. And maybe more important than anything, Pete, at least for 2 years, that dude would be able to raise some freaking money. Don't kid yourself. If Mike Singletary's channeling the I played for Grant Taft, I'm an NFL Hall of Famer, and you know how intense of a human he is. You imagine him in a room with potential donors at a fundraiser, or let alone in a living room with a recruit trying to get that last piece of that 26 class. Mike Singletary would check every box. The only box we don't know is how he would be as an on-field coach on a game day. And I almost wonder if Baylor would be willing to take that risk when you're going to get literally every single other thing right with Mike Singletary. A lot of the alum would love it. It would instantly win Mac Rhodes some credibility. He's getting kind of eviscerated right now by a lot of alum. That I don't think it will happen, but you asked for a long shot.
Great.
I don't think that's impossible. I don't think it's impossible.
That is something else because I go back to what you're saying about you had me at fundraising. I mean, like that is, dude, that is everything right now at a school like
if
that.
Mike Singletary stands in front of a room of wealthy or semi-wealthy Baylor people, give him 10 minutes. He will pull more money out of those folks than just about anybody else I could imagine. Yeah. I've never heard him speak, man. I've seen him on TV. I've seen him on the hype videos. I know who he is. I know his reputation. I know what Baylor people think of him. He would be excellent.
How close was that? I was here for that, wasn't I? No, I got here right after Matt Rule got hired. How close was it that he would have gotten that job?
Well, it wasn't when Matt Rule got hired that he was considered. It was when Bryles got hired after Guy Morris got fired in 2007. In 2007,
but Singletary was in the NFL then.
He was an assistant coach of the NFL
with the Rams.
Correct.
At the time. Okay.
And at that time, because he was actively coaching, because he's expressed how much he loves Baylor, he was easily what I would say the crowd favorite or the fan favorite in 2007. I remember it vividly. In fact, I remember I need to tell Bryce Cherry or someone this. I vividly remember as a high schooler, the page on the Waco Trib that had the 6 top candidates and all their pictures and little pros and cons and columns underneath them. And Bryles was like the 5th guy listed and kind of considered like, oh, he's the small school guy. They won't, but he's in Texas. They might. The top 2 guys were actually Mike Singletary and Houston Nutt. And we all know how his head coaching tenure went shortly after that. So, Ian McCaw at the time made the right hire with Coach Bryles, clearly from a football perspective. But Singletary was easily, and people were kind of mad he wasn't hired. Obviously, they got over that.
I know his sister, daughter, his daughter Kristen. I should send her a text.
You know, his son played at Baylor during that era.
Okay,
in the late 2000s.
Great family.
Matt Singletary, he played at Baylor. So
Kristen's awesome.
Great family. I mean, here's the thing. The criticism of Linda and Mac right now is that they don't want to fire Dave because he's too much of a fit, like on every level with Baylor.
And I'm not trying to be a prick or set you up for anything hyperbolic here, but is there a world where he wins 2-3 more games and keeps his job? I guess so.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think Baylor's about to miss a bowl. I can't see 2 wins left on the schedule.
Yeah.
But they really want to get that culture piece right. And there are lots of coaches across America who fit that. I don't want to sit here and act like every coach in America is too, whatever for Christian Baylor. That's not how I want.
And by the way, I don't like people shitting on Mac and Linda either, because I think, look, I personally think Mac has done it. Nikki Collin was a home run hire in the wake of the Kim Mulkey thing that was going to happen.
Yeah.
You kept Scott Drew here.
Yes.
That
huge deal.
People don't want to give him props for that. That was amazing.
I give him props for that.
Yeah. And oh, by the way, the guy hired Kelvin Sampson at Houston.
And by the way,
Mac Rhodes has nothing to prove to me.
And by the way, the guy hired Matt Rule to help Baylor get out of the hole they were in, and that was a huge home run as well. He's missed on a baseball hire with Steve Rodriguez, and he's potentially missed here with Dave Aranda, and you still got a Big 12 championship during that time. Yeah. So I'm with you. I think the criticism of Mac is overblown.
That's stupid.
I think if he doesn't fire Dave this year, he's worthy of some criticism. But going back to Singletary, they want to get the off the field piece right, the Baylor fit right. There are lots of men who fit that. No one more so than Mike Singletary. Mike Singletary, again, he is going to check every single box. The questions will be, what's he like as a coach on the field? And how's he going to handle NIL? And frankly, if you pony up and pay Aaron Hunt enough to stay at Baylor as GM, then let him handle that and let Mike come raise money, coach, go to recruits' houses. And dude, that's the McLean Stadium would be full. We're talking about fans leaving right now, full to the brim at the start of next season. And with a lot of grace for their all-time best defensive player if Mike Singletary is on the sideline as the head coach.
There you go. There's no better way to end the show than right there, Scotty. That's a great point. I'm happy I asked. Pete Sousa show is back tomorrow with former NFL quarterback. You remember him, the big fella from the Detroit Lions, Scott Mitchell, also a Utah alum. So we get to talk to him about Utah and Cincinnati, ESPN's College Game Day. Going to be in Salt Lake City. We're going to be back here tomorrow. The Pete Sousa show is presented by Slovakics. Thank you, Steve Lyons. Thank you, Scotty Swingler. Thank you, Chris Visser. We will see you tomorrow.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning. So we love Extraco.
Show. Sports.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
Show. Sports.
Our professionals are not only experts in managing urgent concerns, but also in providing top-notch preventative health care. We're proud to connect pet owners to a vast network of licensed veterinary professionals, ready to address any immediate concerns. Book your first appointment today.
Nalgene Outdoor has been your trusted companion, fueling adventures and helping protect the planet. We're committed to reducing waste, improving access to clean water, and providing simple, safe, and sustainable products for you and your family. NALGENE.com. We are Rogue Media Sports.